Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for the segment, we have Sara Mehle, Index Research Strategist with Nasdaq Investment Intelligence. She joins us to discuss the various themes investors can get exposure to through an ETF offered by Fidelity as it relates to the Nasdaq Composite Index. Sara, it's great to see you as always. Welcome back to Trade Talks. Before we discuss those themes, give us the methodology and some of the basics behind the index.
Hey, Jill, yeah, so we're talking today about the NASDAQ Composite Index, which is a very unique index, one of my favorites, honestly. It's been around for 53 years, and it's one of the most quoted market benchmarks today. It includes all domestic and international companies listed on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange. So in total, about 3,300 companies, around 713 of those are non-US. And there's no requirement other than the stocks are NASDAQ listed. So it is literally all the stocks listed on the NASDAQ. It's a very much a broad market benchmark. But as you mentioned, the NASDAQ Composite Index is tracked by the Fidelity NASDAQ Composite Index ETF, symbol ONEQ. And this ETF has been available to investors for over 20 years now, about 20 and a half years. We just celebrated its 20th anniversary back in September.
So let's get some stats around the index and how does it compare to the NASDAQ 100?
So the NASDAQ Composite Index, I say, has a little bit of everything. It has exposure to all 11 ICB industry groups, which is materially different from the NASDAQ 100, which is the top 100 non-financial names listed on the NASDAQ. So you can think of the 100 as a subset with another rule of the composite. But again, exposure to all 11 ICB industry groups, including financials, as I mentioned. 51% of the total index weight right now is weighted towards those Mag 7 names, but it also provides diversified exposure outside of that. So again, 3,300 names, outside of those NASDAQ 100, you're getting, about 3,200 more names in the index. So in one index, you get exposure to those Mag 7 names and high innovation NASDAQ 100 companies, but you also get beyond the top 100, including those financials. But there are some it's a very diversified basket, including some familiar names like DraftKings, Expedia, Robinhood, Crocs, Wingstop, which has been a big name recently, Zillow, Zoom, names like Cracker Barrel, NerdWallet, and even Rent the Runway. So very runs the gamut for sure. And when we look at performance versus competitors, over the last year, the NASDAQ Composite has outpaced the S&P 500 index as well as the Russell 3000 index by about 8% over on a price return basis. And when I took that out 10 years, the composite is up 288%, outperforming the S&P 500 by 93% and the Russell 3000 by 120. So again, really overweighting those high innovation names, those names that come in lists on the NASDAQ exchange, but also getting more of like the broad market benchmark as well.
So we have exposure to thousands of companies across multiple industry groups. What are some of the themes that you get exposure to?
Yes, I just wanted to make the point that in one index, you're getting exposure to thousands of NASDAQ listed companies that are driving today's global economy. So that includes thematic exposure to some of these more popular themes that we've been seeing lately. So AI and cybersecurity, video games and sports betting, biotech, smart grid, a bunch of those on here. But the NASDAQ Composite truly is a benchmark for the 21st century. And again, this index is tracked by the Fidelity NASDAQ Composite Index ETF, symbol ONEQ.
All right. Appreciate the insight as always, Sara. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.